I've got 5 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order today, Monday, October 20th, 2025. Roll call, we have Selectman Howdy Goodwin, Eric Eaton, Mackenzie Jewett, myself Jamie Thurlow, Town Manager Jesse Dunbar, and Town Clerk Sarah Abbott. And Kevin has called in and he can't make it tonight to the meeting.
I'll make a motion to excuse Kevin Buck from tonight's meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to excuse Kevin Buck from tonight's meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, adoption of agenda. I would like to move, if we could, regular business D, which is Southwest Harbor Tremont ambulance update, ahead of the public hearings, because Andy has a commitment at 6 o'clock, and I want to make sure we get his update first. That's all right with everybody?
Sounds good.
Okay. We need a motion for that or no?
Just a motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, Andy, you're up next. Southwest Harbor Tremont ambulance update.
Okay, well, thanks for inviting me, I guess. I did send a summary to Jesse, which I think you shared in your work, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I think we are advertising for an executive director to lessen some of the load on volunteer board members and other leadership in our crew. We're continuing to strive for 24/7 coverage. We've had a couple of gaps, but we're in the process of hiring 2 additional people. I think one of the reasons for the update was that we had the long-range planning committee meet a number of times, and one of the recommendations that they came up with was to hire a service director who would be an employee formally of Southwest Harbor, but in practice an employee of both towns and both select boards, to be a municipal employee who could participate in the state retirement program, healthcare program. We thought that might be an attractive thing for a person to come on board. That person would probably have to be a paramedic in order to lead the service. Our board was not unanimous in wrestling with that issue. There were some very much in favor, and others had concerns about, who answers to whom, and what if the select boards don't agree, and would communication be complicated, and would we undercut the work of what we think is very good work of our brand new service chief as of March, Teresa Cousins, who's a very strong, competent person who's doing really good work, including spearheading the community paramedicine program that we mentioned that we're working on in conjunction with NDI Hospital and a major grant. That the board discussion about hiring a director came down to deciding that what we needed more was administrative help. And so we revised the job description to look for an executive director. That job description is in your packet and on our website. And we're hoping to get some strong candidates. Happy to answer questions if I can.
Okay, thanks, Andy. You guys have any questions about it? No?
Andy, did you guys talk about any other, any other possibilities than having both towns and both select boards be in charge of that position? I mean, if there's gonna be, if that makes it more complicated, then obviously one select board might be the better
Sure.
way to
Good
go.
question. Mackenzie may also want to speak to this since she was a member of that committee. I think we looked very seriously at 3 options. One was have the ambulance service become part of one of the two fire departments. Second was, create a district. You know how Southwest Harbor has a water and sewer district, so it's kind of like not a town entity, it's a little bit separate. And I guess that's a possibility for, when, you serve two communities. We looked into that a little bit, maybe not extensively. It didn't seem as attractive. And then the third was to have a service director. And I'm trying to draw the distinction between service director and executive director, where the latter, the executive director, is more of an administrator, working on grants and looking over payroll and, a lot of administrative stuff, making sure billing is coordinated with Equipment Claims, the company we use. Dealing with, quite frankly, all of the many regulations that the state and insurance companies put on us. In the past year and a half, we've had to institute paid time off, family medical leave, and other things. You can't bill us until 30 days after Medicare has a look at this. And it's complicated. And so those were kind of the three big options. To answer your question more directly, Eric, I think, no, we didn't really talk about, okay, let's just have this person be an employee of one town. I personally think that there's more work to be done for long-term planning. I think it's hard, for me at least, to think 5 years down the road, or even 3, because I'm so consumed by what's going on right now. Much of which is good, but it keeps me busy. But I think the committee could usefully look at just exactly that question. What does make sense for both towns, because that's our commitment. We want to serve both towns, no matter who's in charge. That's our charter. But that's something that maybe we should consider. That's a long answer to a short one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would think that the two boards could support the service director together,
I think so too.
but that's down the road, I guess, so.
Mackenzie, what did I?
I think you got it, yeah, I mean, I think that committee's sort of on a hiatus right now. We talked about a lot of different things, and it's the consensus of the ambulance board to kind of keep doing what they're doing, hire this position, but don't fold into either one of the towns or the two towns now.
Right.
So, yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, we'll move on to the next thing. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks for disrupting.
No.
Now off to another meeting.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, next we have public hearings. These are for the November 4th special town meeting ballot questions. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice just a little bit, so bear with me. First one is temporary sales land use amendment. And I will open up the public hearing for that at 5:10. Are there any questions from anybody? Angie, would you like to give a real quick summary on the changes, or?
Sure, I can
Okay.
do that. So this amendment updates and relocates the existing temporary sales of food and merchandise section. It introduces some new definitions for outdoor market, farm and food products, mobile vending unit, and mobile vendor. The requirements, I think, are more clearly outlined. They help the reader understand the permitting authority. There's some new standards for temporary sales use and application requirements. Some of the key changes were temporary temporary sales could operate for a certain period of time with just a permit from the code enforcement officer, and longer periods would require planning board approval. The section's also being relocated to another section of the ordinance, which deals with particular uses rather than performance standards, which is where it's currently located. This use is not a performance standard, it's more of a particular use that should be in another section of the ordinance. And overall, the intention of this amendment was to make the existing food truck rules clearer and update them in a way to make permitting fair, consistent, and easy for people to understand.
Okay, thank you, Angie. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing for that at 5:12.
I make a motion to certify and sign an amendment to the land use ordinance entitled temporary sales.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to certify and sign an amendment to the land use ordinance entitled temporary sales. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, and now we have a public hearing for official zone map and zone criteria. We'll open the public hearing for that at 5:13. Angie, would you mind doing the same thing? Just a quick
Yep.
brief summary, if that's okay.
This amendment removes the language that extends certain shoreland zones more than 250 feet from the water. The new language limits the shoreland zones to no more than 250 feet from the resource, which is in alignment with DEP guidelines. The official zoning map is updated accordingly. We corrected some mapping areas around wetlands, and the Bass Harbor Headlight property is now shown as federal land and removed from any local zoning districts. So this will result in shoreline zoning rules only being applied to areas within 250 feet of water or wetlands as intended, and then the map will be corrected to reflect those changes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any questions or comments on this? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 5:14.
I will make a motion to certify and sign an amendment to the land use ordinance entitled official zoning map and zone criteria.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to certify and sign an amendment to the land use ordinance entitled official zoning map and zone criteria. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, one more public hearing. Next public hearing is for shoreland zoning in multiple articles. I will open the public hearing at 5:14. Would you mind doing the same thing? First, great.
This amendment started as an attempt to bring the town shoreland zoning ordinance into compliance with the minimum rules required by DEP. The DEP had determined that our ordinance was not consistent with the mandatory Shoreland Zoning Act and has significant deficiencies. These amendments are necessary for the town to be in compliance with the State Shoreline Zoning Act, and the changes included correcting the map to fix those shoreland zone areas which extend beyond 250 feet, clarifying the limits of resource protection districts, correcting density standards, particularly for accessory dwelling units. The ordinance currently allows for density in the shoreland zones, which is less strict than DEP, and that's not allowed. We added some language for hazard tree, storm tree, and dead tree removal, and we updated Table 1, the land uses, and footnotes to match DEP's Chapter 1000 rules. Added language to clarify vegetation clearing and non-conforming rules only apply in shoreland. And while I was working on several of these areas of the ordinance, it seemed like a good time to correct some things that I had found. I fixed some spelling errors, formatting errors. I reformatted all the zoning districts so they're in the same layout for consistency. Made minor modifications to the permit application and review procedure, just eliminated some unnecessary wording, added language to clarify uses and updated titles. And I added new definitions for one-family and two-family residential uses. Those are terms that are used frequently in the ordinance but have no definitions. So not only will these standards and the ordinance meet the state standards, the other changes should make the ordinance easier to read and navigate.
Thank you again, Angie, and thank you for all your hard work and all paying attention to all the details. This will, I'm sure, correct a lot of things, make it work a lot smoother. Is there any comments, questions? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 5:16.
I'll make a motion to certify and sign an amendment to the land use ordinance entitled Shoreland Zoning and Multiple Articles Amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to certify and sign an amendment to the land use ordinance entitled Shoreland Zoning and Multiple Articles Amendment. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, next we have approval of minutes. We have minutes from the 6th and the 16th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 6th and October 16th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve minutes from October 6th and October 16th. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, approval of warrants. We have warrant number 39 for $16,716.76. 40 for $17,024.23. Warrant 41 for $203,114.50. Warrant 42 for $7,486.01. 43 for $17,371.90, and warrant 44 for $31,219.47.
I motion to approve warrants 39 through 44.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve warrants 39 through 44. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, now we have financial reports.
All right, I'll be brief since we have enough on your agenda. These reports are as of August 31st, 2025, which is 17% of the way through the fiscal year. On the revenue side, just a couple highlights, these are in your packet. In August, we collected $2,098,802 in property taxes, totaling collections for the year at 31.72% of budget. We also collected $53,741 in motor vehicle excise tax, resulting in total collections at 21.38% of what was budgeted. We received $78,576 from FEMA Public Assistance for the damage to our wharf from back in January of 2024. We received $51,802 from the state for homestead reimbursement, $2,327 in general assistance reimbursement from the state, $1,147 in registration agent fees, $473 in building permits, $2,151 from MMA dividends, and approximately $10,959 in checking account interest. On the expense side, the administration cost center is currently at 17.2% of budget. In August, we had additional expenses of $962 in training, $1,127 in computer replacement, $2,264 in maintenance, and $1,266 in repairs and maintenance. In the Public Works Cost Center, it's at 12.67% of budget. In August, some notable costs included $775 in culverts and signs, $2,400 for Cape Road, $1,666 on Lighthouse Road, $1,158 in repair parts, and $1,530 for supplies. On your general ledger, we received $14,744 in revenue sharing from the state in August, bringing total receipts for FY '26 to $32,925, or 19% of what was budgeted for the year. And in the senior property tax rebate reserve, you'll see a rebate payments totaling $14,070 for the month of August.
I motion to accept the July 2025 through August 2025 financial reports.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the July 2025 through August 2025 financial reports. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, next we have regular business. We have the November 4th, 2025 special town meeting warrant. We have a draft of that in our packet.
Yeah, so it's just those three ballot questions you just held the public hearings on.
I'll make a motion to approve and sign the warrant for the November 4th, 2025 special town meeting.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to approve and sign the warrant for the November 4th, 2025 special town meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, next, it's under special amusement ordinance. We have received a letter from the owners of 5 Flatiron Road, Paul Beatley, and complaint with the noise of a special amusement permit next door to his property. I know this has been to the planning board, and now they would like to have us view it. We will get to public comment on this, but at first we'll let Mr. Beatley give us a rundown of what he would like to say, and then go from there.
Thank you. Fundamentally, we live right next door to Archie's Lobster, which has received a special amusement permit from the board to play music, amplified music with multiple musicians. Only this year, there has been music at the site previously, but permit not required because we didn't have a liquor license at the time. But this year with the permit, we've noticed a significant increase in the noise level, the volume of the music. I believe you've all seen the packet that I prepared for the land use planning board. This has resulted in severe nuisance to us on our property, and I fear potential loss in value of our property if it continues into the future. I've raised this question with the planning board. The planning board determined that it is not their purview. We requested a noise ordinance, and we've been led to understand that they're not interested in pursuing that. I don't know if this board would pursue that or not. But what I would say is that the permit, as far as I can tell, was not issued in compliance with the standard, or with the ordinance itself. Section 2, Article 201, requires that the permittee be in compliance with all ordinances in order to receive a permit. Article 6 of the Land Use Planning, Article 6A, requires a buffer in order to prevent nuisances at adjacent properties. No such buffer has been erected or put up to prevent noise from trespassing onto my property. You're probably also aware that many other residents around Bass Harbor have made complaints directly to Archie's owner that the noise is too loud. The situation is becoming more and more acute, or has become more acute this summer as volumes have increased, and many of our neighbors are earshot here. The one thing that you will notice from the packet is that in order to address the complaints from other neighbors, the musicians and the music were moved to a location which now is inside a wooden hangar, which faces directly onto my property and my property alone. That wooden building becomes a form of super amplifier because of the way noise is amplified in wooden structures. We have registered 91 decibels on our property. We've heard complaints that when we proposed a 55 decibel limit at property line, but this is just ordinary conversation or the hum of a refrigerator. And my point is exactly, that's what I expect on my property. In fact, in my living room, I don't have a refrigerator, so I don't even have that. But when I get 91 decibels peak on my property, but that's not 30% more than 55. That's not 40% more than 55. That is 63 times the volume of noise, if you understand how decibels work. They're algorithmic. They're not even exponential. They're algorithmic. So at 91 decibels, you're at a rock concert. You're at Woodstock, whatever you want. I know that some people who have attended events at the site have said, well, we don't find that objectionable. The problem is they went specifically to hear music. I didn't. On my property, I don't expect to hear that kind of noise. Now, before we go much further, solution, simple solution exists. I would like Archie's to continue to enjoy the business that they do and to have the music that they want. I just ask that it be redirected away from my property, or that the existing buffering be used to effectively block it from entering my property at such elevated levels. What buffering do they have? They have a hangar that's empty. They have multiple buildings. It does not need to be facing me directly. The volume could be turned down somewhat. The musicians could be placed in a location where the noise is buffered from all properties. It's a reasonable solution, and I wish that that would be incorporated more into the board's thinking when they reissue a permit for anyone, that the buffering standard, in the land use plan be applied, and that all permittees are obliged to use buffering, either build buffering or use buffering that's in existence already. That's all.
Questions from the board first, I'd say. I had one first, was how many years has there been music there?
I believe, my memory is 2-3 years, but
Okay.
since it was not subject to permitting, it was tolerable. It was not so loud, it was not massively amplified. There were no super special events that resulted in a 91 decibel peak sounding on my property.
Okay.
So, it's only this year, 2025, since the special amusement permit has been issued.
We've issued them a special amusement permit more than just this year.
If I'm not mistaken, that was for special events such as Oktoberfest or whatever, but the special amusement permit is coupled to the liquor license, and I believe they only applied for that in 2025.
Yeah, we permitted Oktoberfest and stuff like that, the town events that were there.
Yeah, but they've been playing music for a couple of years, like
Yeah.
on their own, not just special
Yeah.
events. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Mm.
They're required if they serve alcohol. They're required a special amusement permit. If they don't serve alcohol, they can just play it. They don't need the town's approval to play it.
Oh, I see, and this is the first year
That they serve
that they
alcohol.
serve, I got it.
Well, I
Okay.
should also point out, this is also the first year in response to complaints from other neighbors. They placed the musicians in a particular location which only faces my property.
Yeah, I got it.
In the past, it was more diffuse over the harbor and over the water and the esplanade rather than directly at my property.
This is the first time I've ever heard complaints about what they're doing, so I don't know.
Eric, do you have anything before I take public comment?
And no, go for it.
What's that?
No, go for public
Okay.
comment.
Well, first thing, Heather, do you have anything to add before I go into public comment with everybody? Or?
I think the biggest thing I wanna say is that when we tried to follow alternatives for the music, we were not trying to direct it directly at our neighbor. We were not pigeonholing this one neighbor's for the music. We were trying to, like you said, disperse it. I thought maybe putting it in a wooden building would recess some of the sound, but it certainly wasn't directed at one, I wasn't taking it out on any neighbor in particular at all. I was seriously trying to find a solution on the property to make it work for everyone.
Honestly, I believe you 100%, but the net effect is what it is.
All right, I guess we'll go into public comment. Yes, could you please state your name before commenting, just so we have it for the record?
My name is Dan Laurie. I'm local, live here in Seal Cove, and I'm a professional musician. I'm one of the 3 musicians who played at Archie's this summer, and also at the other. There's only 2 venues in this township to do outdoor live music, and they're both in that general vicinity. I played at both of them. They both have music 2 or 3 days a week, depending on the venue. The music runs from 5 to 7 in one instance and 5 to 8 in the other. It's 3 guys. We each have a night. It's not 7 nights a week like had been previously accused, but it's 3 nights a week, except for special events, which are added on top of that. But in each event, it's not a band. It's a man with a voice and a guitar doing reasonable popular music. We're not playing heavy metal, we're not playing Freebird. We're just basically playing to a crowd and playing a wide variety of popular music. Trying to regulate sound in an outdoor environment is like trying to nail Jell-O to the wall, especially, there's so many variables that are out of our control, such as ambient temperature, relative humidity, terrain. In the event of Archie's, you have tide, which also changes the terrain, the wind direction. All of those things are constantly changing during the course of your 2-hour venue. So we're constantly on our toes trying to make allowances and adjustments for all of that. Troy and Heather have gone out of their way to try and figure out a solution and problem solve with all of us musicians. And I started out early on playing across the water, but obviously there's no buffer there because that's part of the draw with Archie's is for people to be able to sit on the water and enjoy a nice meal. We tried adjusting volumes, then they tried the building, which the opening of the building technically does face his property, but the speaker system I'm using does not throw any sound behind me. It throws it straight out the door on it, so there's no sound accumulating in that building and being funneled out. It's all being directed from my speaker array. And when I discovered there was a complaint, I turned my speaker array so it's directed down the channel, away from his house and away from the other houses across the water. I've adjusted volume, I've done a whole bunch of things to try and reasonably control it, other than the variables I can't control. I can adjust the overall output, I can modulate my dynamics by singing further from the mic, strumming at different intensities. But there's a lot we do on the fly to try and make the music. We have to find that sweet spot where it's loud enough for the patrons to hear it and enjoy it. Not too loud where they can't converse as well, and not too loud that it becomes objectionable to neighbors. And that is a constant dance, and it's not an exact science. But decibels are. And just in this room alone, the peak volume of this conversation during the duration here is 79.6 decibels, almost 80, just talking amongst ourselves. So 55, like somebody said, is the volume of a refrigerator. 80 is the volume of a dial tone on a phone. 75 to 85 is chamber music in a small auditorium. So 55 is pretty unreasonable, especially when the only criteria for making a complaint at that level is that you find it objectionable. Any of us can find just about anything objectionable, even classical music for that matter. So this is a community issue. We're trying to work it out effectively. Archie's is not being rigid about this in any way. I've seen nothing but bending over backwards by both Heather and Troy on this issue. And myself included, I've made a career out of playing outdoors, and this is not a new issue, but trying to legislate it and make crazy things is, and that's where Bar Harbor has gone down a horrible rabbit hole, where they're just inundated now with lawsuits, cattle lawsuits, and all kinds of a mess, because everybody and anybody is calling up and complaining all the time. Granted, their music runs later, till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night in some venues. But here we're talking about music that's done at 8 o'clock. 7 to 8, 7 in Archie's case and 8 in Seaside.
Okay. I'm gonna take public comment from everybody, and then I'll give you a chance to respond after.
I would like to correct that it's not twice a week, it's between 3 and 5 times a week.
Okay. Yes, Tim.
I'm Tim Gott, and I just tell you, I happened to go there, August 26th was wedding anniversary. My wife, my 3 daughters, my 7 grandkids, we all went over there. And we're sitting at a table, we're probably 100 feet away from it. It's no louder than me talking where I'm sitting. I didn't know a band was playing until he walked over to us, just because we were talking with kids and stuff. Never gave it a thought, and when they were sitting there, they were sitting in front of the old storage where all the trucks have been in, which is headed out towards the water. I don't know, I haven't been there when it was anywhere else, but I have been there before, and it's not loud. I talk a lot louder than that in my throat. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, and that's just.
I think we can all believe that.
I've heard it.
Yes.
This is kind of lengthy, so bear with me. My name is Kat Murphy. I've lived in the town of Tremont my entire life, as has my maternal bloodline since the late 1700s. Unfortunately, I actually make a game out of trying to guess what song is playing because it's so quiet they can't actually hear the whole thing. The latest we've ever noticed music is 7:30, and that's typically from May to September, so a seasonal time. As the granddaughter of the original owner of McHacken Hutchins and a niece of the current owner, I'm thrilled to see the business's former lumberyard transformed into a community hub. Archie's graciously hosts events that would be otherwise impossible in Tremont. As a board member on the Backside Glass Board of events, I witnessed firsthand how Heather, Archie's owner, is very thoughtful when she's planning her events and with the intention of minimizing any potential disturbance. For 2 consecutive years, we've held our lobster feed there. We've had live music, and each time Heather has made sure that we've considered the placement of the band and the volume. Heather and Troy have generously opened their space to the local elementary school, high school reunions, Chamber of Commerce gatherings, town events, fundraisers, and private celebrations. Our community has longed for a venue like this for years, and restricting their seasonal operation would be a profound disservice to our community. Adopting a noise ordinance would open a Pandora's box in our community. Tremont embodies the generational, rugged identity of coastal Maine. You're going to find fishermen, boat builders, fabricators, carpenters, heavy equipment operators, and this means we're not always as quiet as a church mouse, nor should we be expected to be. It breaks my heart to think that people who arrived in our community in 2018, apparently without researching permitted land uses around their property or understanding who we are as a people, now seek to impose restrictions on those of us who have lived here our entire lives. Especially if some of these folks are summer people and don't actually live in our community year round. The 55 decibel limit is barely louder than kitchen appliances. Imposing this ordinance would invite disputes that would make the things that make Tremont what it is come into question. Bait freezers, lawnmowers, heavy equipment, ATVs, power tools, a bonfire or barbecue with your friends. It would all come into question. All of this would be vulnerable to complaints from seasonal residents. We have respected our neighbors while maintaining our identity and values since Tremont's incorporation in 1848. An ordinance like this would threaten to strip away who we are at our core. And I'm very emotional about this because people coming from away into our community is taking away from young people like me being able to stay and enjoy our time here.
She didn't ask you a question.
There's no response time for this right now. This is public comment. Your response after. Thank you. Okay, yes.
I couldn't have said it better than Dan did.
Yeah.
I'm a performer too. I play Archie's every Friday night. And I'll just add that before we play, probably Dan does it too, one of the waitresses or Heather goes to the outer property line and does a walkthrough and just checks the noise, and she'll give you a thumbs up or thumbs down, turn it up or down. So we are being courteous in that manner. And we have moved into that building, but as Dan said, just at the edge of the building. It's not a speaker box. So and we're not doing anything intentional. And I'm out of the sun and the wind. I mean, it blows 25 knots sometimes up there. So I just wanted to add that. And it is a commercial property. I mean, there could be trucks rolling all day long in a lumber yard. What's the decibel reading on that? You know? That's all.
Okay, next, Katie.
My name is Katie Parsons. I'm a resident of Tremont. I'm formerly Kate Higgins. My family, the Higgins family, we first settled on this island in the 1700s. I am a member of the Whiskey Bent Band, which has been hired to perform several events at Archie's. And most recently, we played for the Mount Desert Island High School class of 1995 for their 30th reunion on September 27th. Upon our arrival, we were informed that there had been past issues with a neighbor, Mr. Beatley, who's previously responded to the live music by playing extremely loud bagpipe music from his property. Despite this warning, we proceeded with our scheduled performance, which was contracted for 4 hours from 3:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. During our performance, the band took 3 15-minute breaks from 4:30 p.m. At 4:30, 5:30, and 6:30 p.m. Excluding those breaks, our actual performance time totaled approximately 3 hours and 15 minutes. During our breaks, a small speaker continued to play background music. Mr. Bees claimed that which was in his letter, that there were 5 continuous hours of live music is inaccurate. Not only were we contracted for 4 hours performance, but we were scheduled breaks that reduced the actual time even more. During our performance, I noticed multiple times clearly from the stage that there were up to 4 individuals on Mr. Beatley's property observing us. We were prepared for them to disrupt us by blasting music, as they had reportedly done in the past, but fortunately that did not happen. Live music, ours and that of other performers, or enjoying a sense of community to many people, it's difficult to understand how some individuals can behave with such disregard for others, acting as though their personal grievances outweigh the enjoyment and efforts of everyone else involved. The owners, staff, customers, and performers at Archie's all deserve respect, and it's disheartening to see that dismissed so easily by a few. Lastly, I'd like to offer some perspective, just as Mr. Beatley did in his letter, the typical decibel levels of everyday sounds. A normal conversation is about 60 decibels. A ringing phone can be between 70 and 80. A barking dog is around 80 and 90. A lawnmower operates between 85 and 95. Your simple household dryer runs around 70 decibels. Passenger cars and trucks, depending on speed, go between 70 and 90 decibels. Heavier trucks, like dump trucks, can be 85 to 95, and emergency vehicles, their sirens can be 110 to 120 in close range. These examples show that the volume of live music at a community event held in an open outdoor venue is well within the range of sounds that we all encounter regularly and often without complaint. It's important to keep that in mind when evaluating what's truly disruptive.
Yes, Tony.
Anthony Manzetti, I live at the top of Flatiron Road, with Flatiron Road, and I'm also a musician. It's probably my ball. I mean, it's probably my ball. And these guys are, you know, they're bought. I'm not saying we're allowed, I play in the church. I play in church, I have to be quiet. But, out in the open there, there's nothing to stop the sound, so it's not gonna dissipate much, especially with wind blowing. You know, anybody ever been to, you know, Key West? How about Old Orchard Beach, you know? You live in a tourist town, I mean, it is building up, there's more people there now. And I feel bad for the people who are here, you know, seasonal, but, from my experience, I mean, we've always, in Bar Harbor, when we played in Bar Harbor, you know, we had to keep it, I think that ordinance was 95 decibels, but it's after 9 o'clock. They lose volume before, after 9 o'clock, then you had to be quiet. But down to 90 decibels, I mean, which is, I think it was 90, maybe it was 80, I don't know. But anyways, I feel bad, you know, you know, there's a business next door, they have a venue, I suggest, you know, heading to a direction that resolves this problem, you know? Try not to get too upset about it, I mean, these people are just trying to make a living, these musicians are just playing, you know, they don't have a lot of places to play, I can't play down there, they don't want me down there. Too long. They just, you know, I understand it, they're not really the type of dancer or venue. So, but they do have a band sometimes down there, and they usually, I mean, I can hear them, because I'm up the top of the road, I'm 120 yards away or whatever, a little bit more than the football field. And it's aimed right at me too. So, I mean, but it doesn't bother me, it's done before it's dark usually, you know, so. And you know, like I said, I'm sorry that it's just one of the things, you know, it's gonna change eventually, but.
Okay.
It'll make your land cheaper.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Going once?
My name's Jeanette Porter, I'm in Bass Harbor, and I would just like to say that, yes, everything that everybody said is true. But it's also true that there is noise from those musicians, it varies. Some nights it's quiet, some nights it's not so quiet. Some nights it's really, really loud. And it comes right across the water, and often it's been, well, I won't say often, but there are times where it sounds like who's ever playing is right in my yard. And we'll be having any, we have guests, and they come here because it's the quiet side. Honestly, in all the years that we've been running our end, summer was the first time there was ever a noise issue. So, if you don't live in the area, it's fine to say, isn't it great, and I agree. But if you do live in the area, there is impact, besides Mr. Beasley. And I would just like to make sure that that gets out there. And I do think it's not a noise ordinance we're looking at, It's that particular permit which allows music to be any time, any day, at any volume. There are no guardrails on that special amusement permit. And so if those of us living there have no say. I have customers, Archie's has customers. My customers may not wanna be listening to someone else's musical taste while they're visiting on their vacation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
So I also live right on the water, and I'm probably closer than anybody here as far as how far they are, because I can throw a rock and hit people at Archie's in the parking lot, well, if I throw hard. But, as my brother already said, we have to have contests on my deck to figure out, first of all, we try to figure out who's playing it. Second of all, what song they're playing, and most often, it takes more than one guess because we can't hear it that well. So to say that the music is driving anyone out of the conversation on that harbor, and I'm not speaking for the people that live next door. I do feel for them, they're that close, but they live in a zone, a working zone place, and you're gonna have to expect music. If it was going past 9 o'clock at night, I'd be the first one to vote for this. But they're not, they're having done at a reasonable hour, and to say it's into the evening really isn't fair because they're done by 7. If they went maybe late, 7:30 one night or something, I'm sure it's happened, but that can be complained about. But they're done by 7 o'clock. The music is not loud across the harbor. And I can say we haven't heard it past 7 very often at all.
Thanks. Yes, sir. I can't quite, I can see a hand, but I can't see it.
But to me, I'm sorry, I couldn't, me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so, Ron Sheldon, live in Bass Harbor. So let me get my list together. So first, I wanted to say, because I've been thinking about it, I think there's been a real effort on the part of Archie's to meet the complaint. And I think there's been a real effort on the part of our neighbors to deal with the issue in a friendly way. So I really want to compliment, honestly, everybody for that. It's a very friendly town. Nobody wants to cause trouble for their neighbors. Nobody wants to cause trouble for businesses. Here, we know they're trying to make a living. But, there's a but, I'm afraid. So, one reason I'm here is not because we're troubled by the noise, but we've had in our history something similar. And we know that you can be living anywhere in this town, and surprise, there's a restaurant next door, surprise, they're making an unpleasant level of noise for you. We actually like it pretty quiet. So this could be happening to anybody. I hope, my bottom line, by the way, is I hope you put it to a vote. And not here, but let the people of the town decide. Because, you know, Bar Harbor has ordinances, Southwest Harbor has ordinances. Are we the Wild West of MDI? And then people say, it's not louder than a conversation. Can you imagine you're sitting in your backyard and you're having a conversation with your wife and there's a third party there? It's music playing, not music you particularly want, but it's damned annoying. So with all respect to Archie and really the town folk, I just hope you put it to a ballot thing and let the town decide what kind of town they want to have. And I'm going to sit down a minute. Archie can survive without loud music. People like Archie's, they like people there, they want to work with them, but they don't have to have this loud music to survive. And I hope you'll eventually put it to a ballot, let the people have the town they want. Thank you.
Yes.
My name's Chief Liggins. One time I was in the restaurant business, had a liquor license and entertainment license was a big part of it, you know. And I was, years the night that Heather was getting her entertainment license, and I was like, wanted to speak up and tell her how crazy she was being, limiting her hours and being so sensitive to the neighbors. Because, I mean, might be an event where they want to play a little later than what she was asking, but she was definitely considering what all the neighbors had to say to keep her business strong and keep it a local business, not a dance club or whatever people are thinking that's going on there. It's a good
Any other public comment?
I just will mention too, I was stopped one night, August 28th. I had stopped performing because of the sound of bagpipes on continuous recording coming through the woods, which confused the patrons. Some left, those were confused. I just decided to stop playing. And actually, I have a recording of it if you need proof. I don't think, we all know it's bagpipe sounds like, right? But it was over an hour.
Yep.
I also had to contend with bagpipe music.
You guys did that? You guys played bagpipe music back there?
Well, anybody
Let's-
just
let's
has to
not
play
go
the
back
music
and
as loud
forth.
as they want. There's no ordinance.
Mr. Beatley, hang on, guys. Yes. Okay, any more public comment? Yes, Tim.
Didn't do that at all.
You know, we're discussing noise ordinance and whatnot, and I think most of you people, the locals do anyway, know what, I have a crushing plant set up in Bass Ave, and no noise ordinance. I think that's worked pretty well by, I come in, I believe I told the selectman that I would do it November through the end of May, not do it in the summer, because that's when the campground are here and the people and stuff, so, I mean, we can't say that it doesn't work, not having a noise ordinance. Or, right, that's all I'm saying, because in my grandfather, you know, if you change the zoning ordinance or something, in my grandfather down here, because been there for 40 years or more. I'm asking the question, it's just something I was put out there. I know in Ellsworth one time, I had a situation, I had camp on Branch Pond, and Tony was there with Mike Hacken, and they played at my camp, and the policeman come up, you know, and they told me, they says, you can't play, you know, and it was on the water and stuff, and it was loud, and they says, you can't play after 9 o'clock. Yeah, it was no problem, we're all done, it was 8 or 8:30, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, but I'm just using that example, that's what they told us, they didn't say how loud or anything they had to be, the policeman just said, you know, you're supposed to be done, because there is an ordinance. And,
Okay, any more public comment? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Joanne Harris, live in Bass Harbor, neighbors with Jeanette, and right across the water from Archie's. If you do the Archie's, as I have, you're looking right at my house across the water. Heather said at the beginning that she wanted to be a good neighbor, and I have found her to be a very good neighbor. And I are working together years ago. I worry that the deterioration between this particular neighbor and Archie's is extremely unfortunate. And I would like to suggest that at some point, that the two parties try to talk about this calmly, if possible. Even if it needs a mediator or a facilitator. Because I agree with everything that was said about Archie's. People love it, people have, I think go there because of the food, because of the view, because it's on the water, cornhole, the kids have, you know, good time running around, lots of space. And, you know, I suppose the music enhances, and I know Dan. But I think this has become perhaps a bit of a mountain, because there's been this unfortunate disagreement. So I just wanted to put that out there, that perhaps the parties could get together with help perhaps to work out a solution. I served on this town's Board of Appeals for, I don't know, just 20 years, more maybe. And I've seen parties come together who have been vehemently in disagreement. I think reasonable people, sometimes with help, can get to a reasonable solution. So I just want to put that out there.
Thank you. Any more public comment before I turn this back over to? Yes.
William Parsons. I live right in Bass Harbor as well. I'd like to add that the noise from Archie's doesn't bother me. Up the road just down the hill from Timmy's Rock Crusher, that doesn't bother me in the slightest bit. I would like to add, I think it would be a little bit absurd to bring upon an ordinance that affects those of the entire town simply to appease a few whiny complaints. That's about it.
Make a response to any of this, or?
Yep, just as soon as I make sure that,
Sure.
no more public comment, I'm just gonna stop the public comment now. And then, yep, Mr. Beatley, if you want
I'd just
to
like
respond.
to say that as long as Archie's has been in operation, we've been appreciative of their music and of their cuisine. We've been there to eat, we've been there to listen to the music. It is only this summer that the volumes have increased dramatically, notably during a wedding, during the MDI high school reunion, during the Oktoberfest. I understand that there are special events, but even the normal music that we've always enjoyed from you guys, heard it over the water, it's never bothered us. My wife and I love that music. But this summer, where they're playing from, it has become substantially louder. Somebody said the volume in this room is 74 decibels. I live 400 feet from the music source. It's 91 decibels, 400 feet away. That's not a normal conversation. That's someone invading my home. I'm just asking, please, move the musicians, turn it down, don't address it at me. It seems, sorry, but it seems that in order to assuage all the other residents, they picked one to direct it at. And I would wish that they would use the buffering that they have, that the town would apply its own ordinances which require buffering in order to protect me, my peace, my well-being, even my health from constant invasion by now what is a noise nuisance. As I said, I like the music, I like it when it's played gently over the water, it doesn't bother me at all, but when it's blasting me, then it's untenable, it's intolerable.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to add that it's 3 to 5 times a week. And I would like everybody to imagine themselves in their own backyard in summertime at the best time of the day when you return from work between 5 and 8 p.m. when maybe you want to have a beer or a glass of wine or have dinner with your friends on your porch. And you can't because the music is too loud and interferes with all the conversation. So I would like to add also that people who come from away and people who haven't been here all their lives pay the same amount of taxes than the other ones. So they have to be treated fairly.
Exactly right, you pay the same taxes, you get the same treatment. There's no such thing as a way in from here with your taxes.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I just think it's very important before you buy a property to do your research. Can you please let me speak? When you buy a house next to a commercial property, that's been a lumberyard since long before I was alive. It was, in my opinion, excuse me, it was a heck of a lot louder than it is now. There was always backup beepers going, forklifts going, delivery trucks going. I mean, I own a boat, I know how it is, been there for 100 years. I think it's very important for people to do their research before they buy a property. If you buy a property beside a restaurant, you cannot complain that there's a restaurant there. It's been there. I think that if you buy, a house next to any commercial property or something that could be developed into that, I think that's just part of your due diligence when you buy a property. I think that it's unfortunate that this has come to a head like this, but I just think in general that's that a lot of the complaints I see through town are just exactly that, and people just didn't look into the fact that, oh, I have a commercial fishing dock right beside my property. Well, it's been there forever. you know, you have to maybe not choose that property if you're not willing to put up with that noise.
You have an ordinance which requires that buffering be implemented, effective buffering be implemented from any commercial property, and you are not enforcing that.
Why, by the way?
And
Why
hang on
not?
just a
Why is
second.
that?
Yeah. Is there, Jesse, in our special amusement?
There is not in the special use.
Okay.
He's referring to your land use ordinance.
Okay.
Which Archie's went through planning board review. She was, I don't know, without looking at it, she either was not required to have buffering or what was on the plan was sufficient.
Yeah.
She is not, Angie, I don't know if she's looked at it, but she is not out of compliance with her approved plan from the planning board.
And looking at this from the outside, I mean, I've been to Archie's just for town events, I've heard the music. I have not ever thought that it was excessive. Yes, it's amplified music. I think that a fence and
How about
something.
I invite you to dinner?
Yeah.
You can come and listen to it on my property.
How about you could just,
I'd love to
yeah.
have you come for dinner. The whole point is come for dinner. I'll make you a special tocino.
How about let me finish speak would be the first step. So, can you let me finish speaking? No, can you please let me finish? If you can't do this, okay? Please stop and let me speak, or I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Thank you. Very clearly, I was directing this to Heather, that I think, a fence along that side, maybe some shrubs or something to pretty it up, would probably knock down, some noise and also would appease the situation some. I do not think, my personal opinion, that we should be looking into any sort of, noise ordinance in town overall. I think that there are some things that we could probably look into as far as the special amusement permits and making sure that we look into some of the details in that. But as far as a town-wide noise ordinance, I cannot see we're interested in that whatsoever. Any other input from the select board?
I agree totally with you, and I appreciate everything that Heather and Troy have done. I mean, they host a lot of community events. I've been there many times, and I don't find the music offensive, but that's just me. I'm also not a fan of changing the rules midway.
Excuse me, if you cannot keep to yourself and respect everybody else, I'm gonna ask you to leave. I've already warned you once, this is the second time. Yes, Mackenzie.
So I also feel it's unfair to the Lewises to change the rules midway through their season or the beginning of their season. These are the only complaints that I know about, and it hasn't been an issue until now. So I'm not a fan of a noise ordinance. I think it's unfair to everybody in town. I am a fan of tweaking the special amusement permit a little bit to maybe make it clearer. That way, if Troy and Heather violate it, then the neighbors can call the police, right? I don't see
And
them
that's-
violating it, but that's just my personal opinion, so.
And then it becomes a police issue, not a
Not a town
town
issue.
issue.
Right,
So
right.
when there is a noise complaint, you don't go to us. Yeah. Okay.
I am all in favor for making the special amusement permit a little bit clearer for everybody.
Yep.
And I feel like Troy and Heather are kind of in the hot seat right now, but they're not the only one that has special, music in town, so.
Yep.
I just don't like changing the rules midway through a thing. Guys.
Rest of you guys?
Oh yeah, I can go about this. This is a working commercial community. We will not support any noise ordinance whatsoever. If you want to put a fence up on your property, put a fence up. If Heather and Troy, if you wanted to do that to quiet the neighbors, then more power to you. I'm not going to tell you you have to.
Yeah, I think just the noise ordinance is gonna cause more noise.
Yeah, not gonna happen.
I mean, people are gonna, you know.
They'll be complaining about a dump truck going down the road, a lobster boat starting. It's not happening here.
You'll be getting a lot more noise.
All right, so under the special amusement ordinance, Do we have a copy of
Yep.
that?
It's the last thing in that paper push.
Okay. I had everything together here.
Just some, to think about the memo from the code officer after
Yep.
the planning board's discussion. Was their suggestion, if you looked at the special amusement ordinance, they had 4 suggestions. You could look at establishing quiet hours during which time music may not be played. You could look at specific days of the week and hours of the day. Just specifying, if it's all 7, great, but specify that it's all 7. Limits on allowable decimal levels and whether music will be indoors, outdoors, or both. Again, I think as a recommendation of just indicating on the application whether or not it is, not whether or not you're gonna allow it.
So they would just check a box and
Right.
play inside.
Mhm.
What do you call Archie's? Because they're inside of a building, but it's wide open. Is that inside or outside?
I would consider it outdoors, but I would probably, if I was Archie's, I would mark both on the application.
Okay.
So yeah, I agree with a lot of these things, just to put better language in there for it. So when issues do arise, I think that when someone does come for a permit, it should be indoors. They should specify to the select board, indoors, outdoors, or both.
Mhm.
I'm just writing notes here as we go. I think hours are a big thing. Unfortunately, you're probably not gonna like what I have to say about the hours, but I feel like, there are plenty of businesses in town that could apply for these, and, I don't want to restrict it down so they could not play. Maybe we could have indoor hours and outdoor hours, maybe as a separation. I think that, like indoors, I don't see any issue with 10 o'clock at night being a problem. I think that, Archie's is going above and beyond by stopping at 8 o'clock. There are plenty of restaurants that are open a lot later than that.
The lowest I've seen so far is not,
Yeah.
like 5 hours.
I also don't wanna limit it too much in the morning because of like Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest started at noon,
Mhm.
right? And so we don't wanna say you can't play music till 5 o'clock and then they have a special event and then they have to come and ask us again and we don't meet for another 2.5 weeks. So I would like to make that time earlier and then maybe it's 11 AM.
Yep.
I think we really need to think this through and not make any decisions right now.
No, I think
Yeah, we're
we
not.
just need to throw out some ideas
Ideas,
while
yeah.
everybody's in the here, and, get something drafted that we could, go back and revisit later on. So that way we have some basis.
Well, right, but we're just throwing out
Well, it's
just
ideas for
different numbers
Jesse
and
or
times.
Angie to take back and.
Yeah, we need to
Draft
give them
something.
some sort of direction.
I also have a hard time picking specific days of the week. Because what if the band is due to play on Monday and they're all sick and can't show up till Wednesday? Like, I don't want them limited, it should be, I don't know.
I just wanna say this, we also don't have to do anything.
True.
Yeah, no,
Leave it
I
alone
just,
completely.
So we don't
you mean?
need to just come up with a bunch of things, I mean, really need to think about this, is what I'm getting at.
I just think clarifying your language is going to help, for when issues arise. I think we're not,
It helps not only the business owner, but it also helps the neighbors. I mean,
Yeah.
and now the neighbors have a specific,
yeah,
I don't know,
And I-
ranger.
yeah.
But then
And I think
you're
there's-
getting into making a gray noise ordinance, is the way I see it, I don't know.
I'd have to disagree. I think right now it's way more, I think you're doing nothing but, putting together better wording throughout. Yeah,
There's-
we can
just
vote
to
on it.
clarify-
That's the easiest way when we
Yeah, no,
disagree.
absolutely,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, the special amusement ordinance is all that you're talking about right now, which is
Yeah.
the state
Yes,
law.
Right,
yes,
yeah.
not
This is
noise, not,
complete separate.
yeah.
This is just for when someone comes and gets a special amusement permit. that's it.
Correct.
And we only issue two.
Maybe we have
last
2
year.
or 3?
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to ask, Paul, why don't you put up some sort of a fence or a noise berm or something like that to help, if it's that?
We have, vegetation that was put up by the previous owners, probably because the McEachern lumberyard,
Mhm.
it was operating. But your ordinance, your land use ordinance, requires the commercial entity to put up buffering, not the next door neighbor. It's in your law.
No, and I'm not
It is.
telling you you have to, I'm just saying if
No,
it's,
but I'm-
if it's that much of an impact on you,
But
that would be the first thing that I would do.
What
whether-
I'm saying is I already have my buffer, they need their buffer, and when you issue a permit, you have to enforce all your ordinances. They don't need a buffer if there's no noise ordinance.
Mhm.
It's when there's a noise nuisance, that's when a buffer is needed. When you issue a special amusement permit, it stipulates in Article 2 that they have to be in accordance with all ordinances. The ordinance that we're talking about is Article 6 of the land use planning, which stipulates to avoid a noise nuisance, including noise, a buffer has to be built, and it's specific about what that buffer has to do. It has to be effective, and it can be one of 3 different things. But the obligation, the onus, is on the commercial permittee to put up a buffer. I've already said, there have buffers on the property, they're buildings. So use those buildings to block the sound going to all of the neighbors. They can still play onto the Esplanade, it simply means slightly lower volume. As I said, the last 3 years, we've enjoyed being next to Archie's. It's only this year the noise volume has gone up dramatically, and you've heard from other people. Planning board heard, you've heard that there are more people now who are concerned about the increasing noise level. It's a resolvable situation without any major change, just simply use the buffer standards that are already in the ordinances and ask Archie to use what they already have on site. They don't even need to put in a 15-foot tree line. They don't need to put in a tall wooden fence. They already have the means there. Just use them.
Yes, Jesse.
Just to clarify, the language in the ordinance is reviewed and is applicable when they apply for their permit and approval from the planning board. So the planning board in that review will determine what buffering is or is not required. When the plan gets approved, any neighbor has 30 days to appeal if they disagree with that approval. After such time, they are approved to do that with the buffer that was or was not approved. You can't have a neighbor move in 4 years later and say, well, I think they needed a buffer because your ordinance says there's a buffer. If they weren't required to have one, then they're not required to, regardless of the land use ordinance saying it. The board determined in their review it was not required.
The McEachern lumberyard was never issued a special amusement permit. It is in that ordinance that is required, all other ordinances be applied.
I don't think he's talking about McEachern lumberyard, he's talking about Archie's.
He's talking about Archie's, but Archie's only applied for a special amusement permit this year.
Archie's has a planning board permit to run a commercial business on that location. They went before the planning board for that review.
Okay. All right, back to us. Are there any other any other ideas that we could just throw to, if we wanted Angie or Jesse to, start to see if we'll look further into making changes at a later date, but any ideas that you guys have for making changes?
I think the planning board nailed it pretty well. I mean, these 4
Yeah.
things, I think that those
Yep.
are all workable options.
They said establish quiet hours, specific days a week, and, they had limits on allowable decibels, whether music is indoors or outdoors. So when is the best time to, do you want something to put our 2 cents of this now, or do you wanna wait?
If you have a recommendation, we can look at it, otherwise, I mean, we can research what the other, you know, what other towns have done. I do know, from looking at Bar Harbor's, their special amusement, is, I believe it was quiet at 10 p.m., and it was until 9 a.m. unless it was outdoors, it was quiet till 11 a.m. But if you want to, I mean, if you have a suggestion that you wanna see in a draft, you can let us know, but otherwise we can kind of put in some suggested amendments. Your, ordinance also has not been updated since 1981.
Hanson's or Seaside Deli, right?
Mhm.
They have the same permit. They play music much later than Archie's, don't they?
As far as I know, yeah.
8
Okay.
o'clock.
8 o'clock at Seaside, okay. So it's about the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody exceeds what any choir hours would be.
Kenzie?
I mean, I think we need to pick hours. I don't hate 11 to 10.
Yeah.
I don't want to pick specific days just because things happen and events pop up that they might not know that's going to happen tomorrow. These are just my, I agree they should check whether they're indoors or outdoors. So it's basically the same things that the planning board just said. I know 0 about decibel levels, so I don't know, do you put an amount in it? Like, I don't know.
Some do, some don't.
So could we look into what other towns have in theirs, just to kind of get a,
That's all I'm saying, is let's do our research before we start saying numbers, that's.
Yeah. We're not looking to say anything right now, Eric, we just need to give them
We
an
need to
idea
give
to
them
move
a-
forward.
Well, yeah, okay, never mind.
I think the same thing as you, Mackenzie, I can't see any days that I would like to restrict. I think, yeah, indoors, outdoors, or both. Quiet hours, same thing. I would start earlier just in case someone wants to do a breakfast thing or something. I would just say 9 in the morning, to start. And I'm not opposed to going till, I haven't seen, I mean, Bar Harbor is late. I don't even know what their ordinance is, but
No, it's like 9 o'clock.
is it 9?
9
Music.
10, I think.
They used to come down there and put the meter on the building and say,
Yep.
no, you guys are okay, or whatever, they come check. And, you know, it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be
so maybe 10 PM
10,
is too,
yeah,
maybe
just
it's
off,
9.
just as like a starting thing. And then decibels, I don't even know how you would ever tackle that. Do you, I was gonna say, you guys have anything, Howdy?
I wouldn't change a thing, we haven't got no problems for 60 years I've been here, so.
Yep.
I say don't change a thing, let them live with it.
All right, well, why don't we just have Angie look into this a little bit more, and then we'll bring it to, we'll come back and have another meeting with it, and when Kevin's here too, and then we'll take a
Yeah.
vote on it, when there's all 5 of us. Does that sound good?
Do you still
Okay.
want a motion?
I don't need one.
Okay. All right, moving on to the next thing. We have Class C driver's ed classes. Wanna explain that a little bit?
Yep, I'll just wait for that. Yes, it's on there.
Okay.
It's just gonna make a lot more noise. Don't you agree, Eric?
Yes.
I actually came
Young, has inquired about using, this meeting room to conduct driver's ed course, for high school students. As you know, Mr. Young has been conducting, CDL driver training, for a while now here, and bus driver, training. I have heard, right before Warren approached me about using the space, I had heard that there's some difficulty, people are having with doing driver's ed at the high school, where we're all used to doing it. I guess they switched to sort of a Zoom platform, they have to go to Ellsworth for portions of it, and then he's has to go this week to do driver's ed in Ellsworth. So he happened to ask right after that, if he could conduct, driver's ed courses here. I think it would be great for people in the community. They would just be using the room for the classroom portion, and then obviously road tests take place off-site.
I like it.
Yes. There's conflicts with certain days, it doesn't work. We have a pretty good sized meeting training room at the firehouse too. There are certain nights that mess up, that doesn't work here or whatever.
Yeah, okay, thanks. What do you guys think? Good?
I'm good with it.
I'll make a motion to approve the request from the Heart of Driving Driver Education School for the use of the Harvey Kelly Meeting Room to offer Class C driver's ed courses.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the request from the Heart of Driving Driver Education School for the use of the Harvey Kelly Meeting Room to offer a Class C driver's ed course. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, we already did the ambulance service, so we'll go to the surplus sale. Who would like to buy a slightly used Keith? Now, have I got a deal for the fire department? It might have a little bit of an electrical issue, but that can be ironed out very quickly. Yeah, you've got just very little things here.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to advertise the 2016 Ford F-550 for sale by sealed bid.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the town manager to advertise the 2016 Ford F-550 for sale by sealed bid. And that is a 2016 Ford that is rusted out and has tons of electrical issues, just for the record.
You're taking the sander off, correct?
Yes. Is there any discussion?
It's being fitted on that new truck right now, the Santa Fe line.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one, Eric, that I originally thought, said we'll save the dump body, but then when I went and looked at it, remember the dump body was, it's all
Yeah.
steel underneath of it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
stainless body, but the
So it was
subframe
a
is
dump body,
completely
not a
shot.
sander.
Yeah, yeah, I was completely,
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I looked at it, yeah.
yeah. Okay, more discussion, all those in favor? All right, managers report.
All right, in the last couple of weeks, I attended a meeting, here with two of our state representatives. I attended a school board meeting, met with the chair of the sustainability committee, I met with Alan from the fire department, worked on meeting prep and attendance for the special select board meeting, financial reports and meeting prep for this meeting, office staff, worked on marriage intentions, DMV report, voter changes, election prep, and absentee ballot requests. Public Works worked on winter prep, drop off truck one, biomallet, supply run, town office, town garage cleanup, maintenance on the pressure washer, continued work on, winter ramp, finished patching Flatiron and Lighthouse Road, maintenance on the electrical speed sign, leveled out, some dirt that had accumulated from sanding on McKinley, trimmed the roadsides back on Cape, Dow Point, Dodge Point, and Dix Point. Two of them attended a snow and ice control workshop from the DOT and did maintenance on truck 3. Harbor Master worked on wharf cleanup, trap removal, cleanup around the dumpster, 3 traps removed from Seal Cove, 3 truckloads of tracks removed from Seal Cove. Measured for wharf decking, was there for the, telephone pole installation in Seal Cove, for the camera system and the lighting. I did just receive an email, today. I applied for a Maine Municipal Risk Management Grant, for that security system that you had approved. That system was $4,600, and we just got approved for $3,000.
Nice.
MMA grant for that. He winterized the old Harbor Master shack, marked out the parking lot and the hill for Rings paving, and worked on getting quotes for lumber on the wharf repair. For the next few weeks, I will be attending the elected officials workshop and continuing FY27 budget.
What's the dates are that? Don't we have the?
30th.
30th, okay. Okay, thank you, Jessica. Suggestions for the next meeting? Date of the next meeting?
I motion to confirm the date of the next meeting for Monday, November 17th, 2025 at 5 p.m. in the town office.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to confirm the date of the next meeting for Monday, November 17th, 2025, 5 p.m. town office. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?